everybody, it's Julian of Flow Graphics here, and this is episode 2 of Game Dev Diaries. So I actually got really good feedback on the first episode. I was really happy with that. I didn't realize how much everyone would enjoy sort of watching me sort of make a game step by step. So here's episode 2. We've done a fair bit more as far as in-engine work from last episode. We still have a whole lot of planning and development things to get through. For university, I still have a lot of documentation due and all that, but I won't really show any of that because it's a lot of it's not really necessary. But basically, what I've done in the past week or two is I completely remade the rope and the way that the rope interacts with physics and all that, and the rope actually acts really well now. I was really happy with that. We started sort of blocking out some puzzles, and we're basically in the process of just creating our very first prototype sort of tutorial level puzzle right now, along with some like little modular assets to do with interactable objects and hazards and things within the game, and also just little things here and there, things like level building assets and stuff which can just sort of help us build levels like a lot quicker. So we actually got a hold of a free package on the asset store, which helps us build levels. So I'll get to that later, but right now I'll show you the ropes. So I'll quickly just play the game now. I'm pretty sure I'm controlling both characters right now. Yep. So this rope is actually, it's not 100% accurate because the characters are actually a little bit scaled up. But you can see we've got a really nice fluent sort of rope going on. I may actually just maximize this. It looks a lot better than the joints before. It acts really nicely. Sorry if the frames are a little bit low, but I'm just, I'm playing this in the editor. And I've actually got 2 Unity editors open at the moment, plus I'm recording, so it might be a little bit laggy. But you can see I can manipulate this cube really easily, and all these textures and things are just like crappy placeholder textures. None of it's anything final. And then what we've done is we had some problems with the rope actually tearing out of its joints. So if I quickly unmaximize that and I go to the rope here, you can basically see the rope is one long mesh, a big cylinder. I think it's got 36 subdivisions and 36 joints, if I can remember correctly. And then it's basically got a whole bunch of capsule colliders and then just joints on either end of the capsule colliders, join them all together. And the capsule colliders are all overlaying one another, and then we've got slightly longer ones inside the characters to avoid any tearing. The reason why the overlaying is so when the rope stretches, like if I can, it's a bit hard, I'll just make it so I can actually, I can just control one of the players and not both. But I'll go back to the rope, like that. Well, that's the wrong rope, this one. And if you can see when I stretch it out, well actually my distance isn't a whole lot. So we created a whole bunch of variables. So for instance, we have a play distance here. So that's set to 7, I could set that to 9, I'll just set that on both max distance, and all that is basically the maximum distance that players can move between each other until you start sort of chugging and pulling the other one. So we basically made up a script, as you can see here, where there's a radius, I just set it to 9 units then. So when this blue player gets 9 units away from the red player, he will start basically yanking on the rope and pulling the other player over. And you can see it looks sort of cool. It looks like the blue guy's actually sort of chugging on the rope and pulling it, and then he's slowly pulling the red player over. So we actually did those limitations through code, and then the rope is mainly for basically just interacting with objects and as a visual sort of way to convey, oh, okay, this is how far we can go from each other. But if you can see when I go the rope here, when it's sort of stretched out a bit, the joints they stretch out. So you need the colliders to overlap a little bit. If the rope does stretch, you won't have any problems with having gaps in colliders or anything like that. And if you know anything about character joints and things, we actually set it so there's projection, and the projection is very small on this rope here. So it basically never stretches anyway. And then yeah, we had a couple problems with the rope sort of pulling out of joints when it was sort of forcefully pulled. So if I'm the blue player here and I was just to wrap around the cube, now if I was to walk to the left of my screen, I would basically, the cube would be stuck behind the red player, and then I would be pulling on the cube, but the cube wouldn't be able to go anywhere because the cube's trying to go this way and I'm pulling this way, but the red player's stopping it. So basically what we did was make a quick script that says if an interactable object, such as the cube, collides with a player, then turn off the, well, basically change the physics layer of the rope. So if that cube hits a player, boom, the physics layer of the rope snaps into a different layer, so the rope just completely goes through the cube, which is great. It just avoids any problems to do with basically snapping the rope or getting into really odd situations where you could basically pull the rope out of its joints. Same with this little blue button here. Pretend this is like a wall or a gutter, and both players are moving the rope, trying to like basically moving the rope towards it, and maybe they get stuck on this little block here. And the second the cube collides with it, the rope just passes straight through it, which is really cool. It basically it's a really simple way for us to avoid a lot of tricky situations, and it's a really nice fix, really easy fix. The rope just simply passes through things when that thing would, make a quite substantial error. So yeah, so we've got a really nice rope going. If I quickly, I'll just exit this project actually. And if I go into this project here, you can see I set up a little sort of thing. This is just the first level. You can see the players are a little bit smaller now. So this is what the rope, like the length of the rope in relation to the players would actually be like in the game. They'll be a little bit smaller and the rope will be a little bit longer. And yeah, this is just a really simple puzzle. It's just like we're just whiteboxing it at the moment. It's far from done. But you can see if both players walk this way and the rope goes onto that pressure plate, it lifts up this elevator here. And then blue player can jump on that. I'm controlling both players, so I can't really do this puzzle properly. But then the red player would be able to, whoops, let me just spam the jump. There we go. I'll try and move my players actually a bit closer towards each other, like that. Now I need to get this red guy. There is obviously limitations on the jump. I just turned it off for this. And then obviously one player will be on top of here, and then one player will be down below, and the player down below will move that, so then the player up here gets to be up here, and then both players can, walk around, and then the level continues up here with some more things, and then this would be near the end of the level. And this is just a really, really quick sort of prototype tutorial level. Just using a couple, physics things. We've got the cube on the pressure plate here, and when it moves off, it untriggers the elevator, and then when it moves back on, let's just move that out of there. There you go. So yeah, that's just really quickly sort of prototyping, and we're really happy how the rope's working actually. It's really nice and fluent, and it just works well. Anything to do with physics is really, really hard to get right. So it took us a lot of goes to get it right. That was our main problem with this game, was the rope. It was really hard to try and get it perfect, and we're really happy with how this is going so far. So now we can really start diving a little bit more into level design and art assets and things like that as well now, now that we got that sort of main mechanic of the game sorted out pretty well. So yeah, like I said, this level is just a really basic white box for a tutorial level. We also set up some other things. I think I've got another scene. I will not save that. This one here. So these are all like really rough white boxes and just testing things. So for example, I just realized my jump is super high on my player, so I'll just quickly turn them down. So we have jump force somewhere there. Let's make that 50. I'm pretty sure their mass is actually turned up a whole lot too. Okay, let's make it something 5,000. Sorry about that. 5,000 is a lot. Let's make it 1,000, and I think that should be good. Okay, that's good. So yeah, you can see I've got a little seesaw here. So this was just simply testing things out, because one of our puzzles involves a seesaw, where one player basically has to weigh it down for the other player to be able to hop up. And you can see this works. It's just pretty simple. It's just basically a rigid body. It's basically just a rigid body with its positions frozen, and then it's free to rotate on this axis. And then we also have this little thing here, which is basically, as you can see, like a little sort of windmill. And then all the platforms of the windmill actually always stay parallel to the ground. And it actually reacts to physics too. So I can hop on this, and I shouldn't at the moment. I don't want to be walking around to move it. But what our plan is see, it reacts to weight. So if I if I just spam my jump a little bit, if I just go like that, you can see the wheel actually sinks down to the bottom with me. So yeah, so basically what this could be used for is for scenarios where maybe we have different weighted boxes or cubes, and you can put them on the different platforms of the wheel, and then you can do sort of a really cool puzzle that way, all to do with like weight and gravity and physics and things like that. Basically having to weigh down one level of the platform so the other level goes up, so one guy can jump up, things like that. They're pretty straightforward. And this grid system you're seeing on the screen as well is the plugin that we just simply, it's just a free plugin on the asset store that we've just been using. I think it's called Quick Set Object Placer, and you basically just click and it just puts down whatever prefab you list. So we just put down a cube, and it just makes your life a little bit easier when you're sort of white boxing levels like this. It's really nifty. So yeah, that's sort of the basic thing. There's actually, if I was to explain this, it's a little bit hard, but basically there's a boulder that sits on this little block here, and then this seesaw right here would slot in there. So one player would jump on the seesaw, go up here and set up the boulder, whilst the other player is on the seesaw as well, and then the boulder will basically hit down that end of the seesaw and launch the other player up here as well. So yeah, we've done a lot of stuff in sort of in Unity, just testing things and just whiteboxing levels, doing things like that. The rope was the main thing, and I was super happy to get the rope mechanics and all that sorted out so well, because there was a little bit of time where we were actually doubting the whole mechanics of the rope altogether, because we sort of had a whole lot of problems with making it. But yeah, basically it worked really well. To actually put a bit into detail, all we did was I made a cylinder inside of 3ds Max, put a whole bunch of subdivisions into it, and then I just put some bone joints through the center of the cylinder, just one joint for every subdivision, and that was it. It's just a really simple, just long cylinder mesh with a bunch of bones, and then I exported that into Unity, and then you can see the rope is here, and you can see, I'll just go back into Unity, you can see all the bones here, and then we've attached character joints and the rigid bodies and the colliders to all the joints. And then we had a specific sort of way to set our character joints with the projection and with all the swing limits to get that really nice fluent rope that doesn't really bend or crease or anything like that. It's just really nice and fluent and just looks really cool. Because it's supposed to be sort of like a spiritual rope, I guess, sort of like the soul tethered between the two players. Yeah, and this is the cylinder here in 3ds Max. It's just a regular cylinder really, and then I just exported that out into Unity to make the rope. So that's basically it. It's just a whole lot of whiteboxing and prototyping. Obviously, we're not really up to any of the art things yet. We're still in the the basic prototyping stages. I've actually got an assessment due this week, which is basically just a very basic prototype, which we've already made. So we might just finish off this little level here a little bit. Hopefully in the next episode, I'll be able to show you this starting level completely done. So we will have like basically a little mini version of the game working without any art or anything, just for this one level. And then we'll basically be starting on some other level designs. There's a lot of level design that we're going to be planning in the next couple of weeks, because obviously our game it has the same mechanics, and then it just relies on different harder levels that progress through the game. So there's going to be around 10 or so different levels, some sort of tutorial levels that sort of build up, and then there's going to be some harder levels where you really have to use your brain, as well as sort of work in unison with the second player to be able to complete the puzzles, because they won't be sort of as straightforward as this one here. But yes, so that's basically it for this episode. Yeah, I thought it was pretty interesting, like doing all the rope and all that. If you've got any questions or anything, just let me know. I'll be happy to explain anything you guys want to hear in the episodes, or show you anything specific. If you really want, I can go a little bit into the scripting as well, because we've got a little bit of scripting done. Like it's pretty basic at the moment still. It's just our player movement controllers and things like that, and then the scripts for the buttons to trigger off and things. But if you're at all interested in scripting or art or anything like that, Let me know in the comments, and I'll be sure to basically add some of that in the next episode so everyone can be happy. But yeah, I hope you all enjoyed. It's been Julian of Flow Graphics here. Have an awesome day, everybody. See ya.